Good afternoon, London. Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about a topic I am passionate about. I'd like to make this interactive. We're going to talk about a really, really boring topic, data governance and data stewardship. But for more than a dozen years, I've talked about it. It's an exciting topic. We need to think about how we enable. Everybody thinks about data governance in a data defense perspective. 90% of you think of that. I want you to change your mind. I want you to rethink that. That's the past. That's a small part. I'm going to show you how, over the dozen years, really work to make this connect to the business. How do you adapt it to the business? How do you make them your partners? And now, with all of this stuff about AI, it doesn't mean anything unless you're connected with the business, unless you're making the business make money or save money. At the end of it, it's not about compliance. Yes, compliance is important, but you don't make money with that, other than some company. Yeah. So really going to talk about that. If you guys have any questions, if you don't disagree with me, at least somewhat by the end of the session, I haven't done my job. Hanadi here, my dear friend here, will tell me anything can come out of my mouth. I'll try to keep that quiet. So, as we talk about data stewardship, data governance, we've made it boring over 12 years. We've all made it huge. We've made it such that most of the time when you're going in and discussing data governance, the answer is, yeah, I'll do what you tell me to do, but other than that, don't come to me. Because it's been focused on thinking on GDPR, on how to comply. That's only one solution. If you really want to connect with the business, you need to think broader. Data governance has taken on the same thing that enterprise data management has, which is, I'm the tax collector, I'm here to help you. No, you're not. You need to think about really connecting on the business outcomes. In the past, we looked at large initiatives. The more money you have to spend on it, the less success you will have, because you're going to be questioned. Go with Agile. One of the key things that in data governance, data management, I want to turn it around to the side is, don't focus on the data producers. It really should be about the data consumers. There was a very important philosopher at the time, Willie Sutton. He was a bank robber about 100 years back. And they asked him a simple question: why do you rob banks? His answer: that's where the money is. If you are not focusing on where the company is making money or saving money, then we're not in a capitalist society. We're focusing only on how people can comply. How people can comply does not build adoption. That is policy and governance. I'm trying to tell you, don't think policy and governance. We've done data stewardship and governance in the past, telling people, do this, do this, do this, because compliance needs to find something different. Any of you guys have seen that old movie, My Fat Greek Wedding, where he says, I can tie anything to how it is in Greek. Anything that you're doing on compliance, anything, I want you to rethink, I can tie it to data offense, and I'll talk a little further about it. I want you to think about how you're going to bring voluntary adoption, not compliance adoption, especially in the world of AI. Also, I'm going to say some things where I'm sure some of my friends and all are going to disagree. It's not about data governance. For narrow purposes, yes, but it's not about metadata. At the end of it, it needs to be driven by the tangibility of data quality. Everything else is a nice to have. In the past, listen, I spoke in 2018 actually about metadata, how important that was in London. I take that back. It ain't that important. If it does not connect with your data quality strategy, it does not connect with that. We boil the ocean with metadata. We boil the ocean with data catalogs and data governance. That's good, but think different. Anybody who disagrees, I want you to go ahead and ask me about it, right? we really don't have alignment with the business. We're telling them, do it because the regulators tell you. That's documentation. That's not adoption. I want to talk to you about how I've implemented data stewardship in the past. I actually did data stewardship at a company that was all about data defense, depository trust. And the first question they asked me, are you going to help me protect our data? I said, yeah, but that's only a little part of it. I'm going to tell you how you're going to go into analytics, build data products, and how governance can be used for that. How do we get the business excited so that they're able to make money? I want you to think about data offense, and I'll talk about it. This is something I've talked about a while. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to dedicate this session to a very good colleague and friend, Darren Bowie, who passed, he was a chief privacy officer at AIG. He passed away way too soon in his life. Wonderful human being and a visionary chief privacy officer. We had discussions about how you take GDPR and create data offense with it. Because at the end of it, GDPR was about stewardship of data. I worked in a company where nobody at that point was really thinking about that, but we had to talk about it. And we did with Darren, and he said, you're right. We can actually turbocharge a metadata and stewardship by GDPR, right? I'm sure I've got my friend here, Hanadi, she'll disagree, but that's fine. Yeah. You need to start thinking about the consumers. When I talk about that, a lot of people always say, no, we should do data quality governance at the producer side. My question to you is, how did that work out for you? And I'll get to that, how they really get connected, and how you bring them together. I have never had a problem with data governance buy-in. What I've had a problem is trying to change the mindset of enterprise data management, data governance to think different. It depends on what you want to be. You want to follow the path, or at the end of it, it's okay to be controversial, right? Because you rethink it. If you're following the straight path, AI obviously is going to take over once Arnold Schwarzenegger comes in anyway. The key parts of a data offense, data stewardship is, Dharma is great. It's a guideline. There's not enough kettle in the ocean for you to go boil the ocean. You can't. We're always boiling the ocean. Create a governance and stewardship model that is focused on that. And I'll talk a little further about that. Look at the outcomes in data science and analytics. That's the most important. That's where the company is on revenue optimization, operational efficiency. I was in financial. They always thought I had 4 horns. Now they think I have 2 horns. Then I worked in a garbage company. And now basically I'm a used car salesman at CarMax. Because our job is to get a customer and make sure that the customer progresses. We price cars. We condition cars, we sell cars. At the end of it, that's our business. Our business is not data governance. Our business is data management. Our business is not tools. If we can connect with the business on that, that's what it is. I learned my lesson in waste management, which is the world's largest waste manager. Their job is collecting data and disposing of it. I took a data quality legacy strategy to the head of disposal. I got my A handed to me because he said, why would I want to go change? How does this actually help me collect garbage, run my trucks, run my operations? Come back when you've rethought this. I was going in with the usual data stewardship. I'm going to tell you how the metrics happen. I'm going to tell you how all of this is done. You're going to make it into enterprise, and a month later, I'll tell you the next step. Doesn't work. Understand what these guys are doing. What I'm doing always is understanding what are our models. How, in CarMax, we buy about 500 million of cars every week. We have proprietary models that determine how much we buy a car for, how much we condition, how much we can sell it. Every dollar makes a difference to our bottom line. That's how you connect. Understand what the business is. Understand what they're. On our analytics, we look at what are the critical reports that go out every day. We have key store reports. We are connecting data quality to that. We're not telling them go ahead and do it because the enterprise tells you. Sorry, if you're looking for that, you got the wrong place. Think about how you're connecting what exactly is your company selling. Are you connecting with that? Data governance is a very important discipline. It is a set of capabilities you can use in data defense, which is smaller than you think. It really is about data offense. Nobody won a game 0-0, let's face it. I hate frameworks. All you folks that love frameworks, my good friend Hanadi, and I'll tell you why. If I take a standard framework, ChatGPT will give it to me in 3 minutes. I sound like a management consultant. Sorry, any of that there. No, because if you're going in with the folks that are actually doing this on a day-to-day basis, they don't want to see your framework. They want to see a contextual framework. How is it helping me? Don't bore them with a framework. I have framework, but only after we have understood business, after you said, how does data quality impact you? And honestly, choose the tools that are data offense oriented. A lot of you folks that know me, I've gone through the governance and catalog tools. They're all focused on data defense. Thou shalt. Great for houses of worships, not good for corporate. Think outside of the box. Think how you can build adoption before you even think about a tool. In terms of data quality is the magic portion that actually makes it possible. That's the only tangibility in data governance. When we start talking about roles, responsibilities, sorry, if you guys have ever seen that Burger King golden paper hat they give you, we give that to data stewards. We call them data stewards and say, okay, so now what do you want me to do? They are the actual leaders. They're your partners. They know the business. If they are part of enterprise in an organization, you're doing the wrong thing. Partner with them. Make them the heroes. I'm going to use an old, if any of you guys, Seinfeld. It's not about me. It's about you. Too often we're making it about us. We're going there and we're telling them we know exactly how to do things. If we know exactly how we're doing things, we're not really listening. I honestly would love people to disagree with me. It's not about governance and catalogs and all. I've evolved my thought about that. It's data quality. It's the impact of data quality to how a company makes money and saves money. If you can show them the impact, you are building adoption. But listen to your users. Remember I told you, my PowerPoints will never, ever be good. I don't expect them to be. They're ugly as hell. But think of it as data governance and stewardship. As a discipline, has many weapons. Use your weapons. Don't think data defense. Think how adoption is not built on data defense. It is built on leveraging data stewardship for data offense. That's where you're reusing your critical data assets and saying, this is where the inventory is? Okay, somebody else is using it. Let's take a look at it. Data quality, other than for the narrow purposes of regulatory reports, falls in data defense. Love for people to disagree with me, but think of it, it's a company can go ahead and lose money. They can have bad data. That's optional. That's not regulatory. That's why data quality mostly belongs to the data offense, because you're going to help them. A lot of times you actually don't know. Most folks will tell you, I don't have a data quality problem. Of course you don't. You're spending all the time wrangling data and all, and in a lot of cases making incorrect business decisions. Focus on really where your data offense hitting your data science, analytics, operational. You're making business decisions, whether that is directly or indirectly causing your business money. Sorry folks, we're in a capitalist society. If you can figure that out, you will connect with, because their KPIs, your business KPIs, should be your KPIs. I'm going to tell a story, some of you know about it is, once upon a time, I owned a governance tool. Nobody used it. We made it too complex, and most of the time, our KPI was, how many business terms does it have? And you need to go to a 2-day class to figure that out. Who has time for that? You got to make your tools and data events usable. I'm just going to quote what my grandfather's always said, if it don't look good, don't eat it. We're always forcing people to say, use these tools, and by the way, I'll send you to school to use a tool. Who has time for that? Focus on data quality, on MVP frameworks. Continue adding to the framework as you learn more, so it's contextual. Otherwise, you get your A handed to you like I did in waste management. To me, every time I have a aha, is the moment when I think about it, I need to rethink my approach. Every day you get information. Think about changing your approach and frameworks when you get more information in a company. Otherwise, you're going to sound like the same salesperson over and over again. It really is about proactive anomaly detection. Most businesses don't know how data quality is costing them. That's where the stewardship really gets in. That's where the data offense really needs to be. Another part is, all of this stuff we talk about in data governance, roles and responsibilities, paper hats and all of that, great. You know when it really makes a difference? I have a data quality issue that's impacting my models and it's costing me $1 million. How do I solve it? Who's going to solve it? What is the role and responsibility in data quality? Now put those hats on, there'll be more than a paper quality. Metadata, that's when it counts. Your critical data elements, not boiling the ocean. I know, listen, I gave a speech on this many years back. Metadata is really important. But again, we continue to boil that ocean. Only the critical elements, the critical assets that matter to making money, saving money. Outside, as I said, the narrow. Focus on that. Focus on the metadata for that, not overall. Otherwise, you're going to be spending millions and millions, and people will start questioning you to say, okay, what do you want me to do? Again, told you, PowerPoint is not my forte. I never will. I don't want it to be. This is important. Everybody thinks, sure, shift left, data producers, go tell them. Key point is, you need to bring them together. Data producers are doing an important function in the company. They're producing business data products. Don't go to them with a 100-point data governance list and say, thou must do this, thou must do that, thou must do this. They're not going to do it because they're in the business of making money for the company. And you're going to tell them, in order to govern this product, you need to do this. Bring them in the ecosystem. The way you bring them into the ecosystem is the impact to consumers. If you can get the buy-in from consumers, from a consumer data quality, you are then saying, it's costing you $1 million, Mr. Padilla, let's sit and build the right framework to bring producers and consumers together. A sustainable framework, not a framework somebody thought in theory. You will bring them, they'll be happy, you will be the business partners. But again, continue listening. Focusing on the impact it's having to consumers, you will then get that buy-in from the producers. Do it from a right to left. It's a mind shift change. Every time I talk about this, even my company will say, no, we got to do it at the producers. I say, okay, how'd that go for you last time? They will not pay attention to you. I've always had success with a consumer-based model. I know the tangible impact of this. The rest of it, once you've done that, then you can build a framework to say, I want to know how data quality is impacting you. I honestly want to know about how you manage your issues, what your roles and responsibilities are. Yes, then metadata makes a difference. I'll go back to my dear friend Darren Bowie. When I reviewed my presentation metadata, he said, you're right. The metadata created out of GDPR is actually going to help the other side of the business. Aha, that's where metadata makes a difference. I could have just gone in with the usual metadata, would not have, right? If anybody has questions, ask me. Because if you have not disagreed with me, I'm not doing my job. I want to be counted because at the end of it, my passion is sometimes asking the industry to think different. You can either be that person that thinks different or thinks business as usual, which is fine. Now, talking about tools, sorry to use one, tools are nothing more than exactly that, a tool. Don't buy tools, buy business solutions. Most folks are buying tools because the vendor told them, it's great, we've got an approach here, fine. If you don't know what you're solving, why are you buying a tool? When I'm looking for a tool, and now, as I said, I've changed my focus where I said data quality maintenance. I'm looking at a tool, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, let me build adoption before I buy a tool. Is this going to help them? Is this self-service? Or will I have to send them in a 2-day class, ironically in London, to learn, which they ain't going to go to? Can my data stewards manage this tool by themselves? Am I choosing a vendor that believes in our vision of data offense? Or am I going to a vendor that's going to give me, sorry Dipti, a success manager? You need to partner with vendors that think solution. How do they solve the problems for you? I mean, bring them into the partnership. Everybody, and I talk about trusted partnership. It's about how they will enable you. Because your business changes so fast. If you choose a tool that has a 1-year product cycle, you'll be out of a job before the next product cycle comes in. Make sure that that tool is iterating, is listening to your business users, and really importantly, it's an enabler for you. If somebody can't learn a tool in 1 hour at the most, don't buy the tool. Then you're going to send them to data school. All of us know, we've all gone through school, you don't want to go through it again. That's really about building adoption. Tools really need to be, very importantly, how can I use the tool? How do I make it self-service? I don't want my enterprise group to be the one that says, okay, give me your tasks, give me your roles, and I'll come back in a month later. No. Figure it out. Here it is. And if it's not usable, we're going to talk to the vendor and say, make it more usable. And if that vendor is technocratic, then honestly, you got the wrong vendor. Yeah. At the end of it, a lot of you folks can disagree. It is about data quality. It's the impact of data quality and proactive anomaly detection. Make it as easy as possible and go. In terms of, I'm sorry, this is another one, my good friends are going to be not liking this. Catalogs are passé. Governance is passé. It's governance through the lens of data quality. Rest of it is a nice to have. I'm not saying you got the money, get everything and all. You see how the marketplace is going. Catalogs and all are just I've never seen a really, really successful catalog and governance. And I'm going to get you folks, I want you folks to disagree with me. I'm going to go quickly. This is one of the most simplest because I hate frameworks. It's at the end of it, happy to connect with any of you, give you more details on this stuff and all, right? But don't bore them with frameworks. Figure out what the data quality problem is, figure out what the CDs are, what your critical data elements are, identify your data producers, as simple as that, talk to them. Don't bore them with frameworks. All of that comes across connected with data quality. Now, for me, data stewardship in the future with AI augmentation is easy. You're already connected with it, data science and analytics. Those are the guys that are already using machine learning and they want to do it. If you already know what your stewards are doing in governance, AI now becomes an enabler. Otherwise, you're just going to ask, how do I play around with AI? I don't want to play around with AI. I really want to see how it enables. To me, we deeply understand what our stewards are doing. What is going to make them the heroes? Your heroes are data stewards, not the operation. I disagree also, as many may know, with the industry on data stewards that are at the enterprise level. No, it's at the business level, operational, because otherwise you're building a bureaucracy that you cannot sustain. Once you know that you've got a tool that is self-enabling, now I'm going to ask the questions. You want to know critical data elements? You want to know CDEs? You're doing it manually. Hey, tool, use AI to do that. Tell me about it. And guess what? When my steward prompts more information on this, they say, no, you know what? Go to that insurance manual, or go to that used car manual, take that into input, now improve my CDEs. Come back to it. Issue management, let's face it, everything in life has been done in the past. It's just we wake up in Groundhog Day, if anybody's seen that Bill Murray movie. Every day we solve the same problem over again. Hey, how was this solved last time? How does it impact my the data asset I have? Tell me, show me. I'm the data steward. And very importantly, I started my journey thinking about, yeah, we're going to do pipeline observability, we're going to do data quality. I got news for you. Pipeline observability is already being done one way, whether you like it or not, one-way source target. Don't start with that. The impact of data quality is where you need to start with. How do you know which pipelines are important that you're going to put controls in? Once you've understood that, you're able to focus, hyper-focus on that. I'm going to go quickly if anybody has. All of this now, understanding AI should be able to enable, but only if you've gotten the adoption of data stewards before that. I have right now, they're eager to see how AI is going to help them because they trust me to do that. I have a big responsibility. So next time somebody tells me AI, yada, 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 I said, show me. Again, I think the key, what I'm really asking is rethink it. Rethink your adoption plan for data governance. Think outside the box in defense and data offense and data quality. Does anybody have a question? Please. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
You said data governance and cataloging and everything is just an activity, right? You don't agree with it. It's basically everything should be customer focused. But what if this is a regulatory requirement?
Yeah, can you repeat that? I can't. What?
This data governance and standards is a regulatory requirement.
It is a regulatory, but you don't have to just focus on the regulatory part of it. You want to be that hero? Tie what you're doing in regulatory to how what you're doing in regulatory is metadata. What you're doing in regulatory data quality. That same principles can be applied in offense. I understand you may be in a regulatory industry, But the same company that you have regulatory also has a business that needs to make money. You want to go on the other side of it.
Yeah. But you have, you can lose your license if you don't do that.
I'm not saying don't do that. Absolutely. But don't spend all your money on it. Get your line, but don't think of it purely as I'm the data governance that's going to protect. I'm asking you to say, I'm going to go with David White. He was a guy who said, I don't want to be Mr. No. I'm the chief privacy officer to let you use that data as long as you meet privacy and data protection. It's a mind shift change. You must meet the regulatory. But sometimes we're overdoing it as in yada, yada, yada. Not saying don't meet it. I just want you to rethink about the fact that you're a data product person who's meeting regulatory. Yeah. Again, I'm happy to have that discussion, absolutely. The fact that you're rethinking it, right? You have to meet regulatory. But there's another world.
Hi. Yes, I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
You talk about data quality and how that's the most important, how we should look for lens of data quality people. But then how do you get the data quality people to talk to the business? Sometimes when I talk to data quality people, they don't know what critical data is, what the most important
Don't start with critical data. You already bored them if you did CDEs. Yeah.
Yeah, just like how do we bridge that gap between kind of the business, like the end consumers and the producers?
Start with the consumers, right? Start with where they're doing analytics and reporting. Start with where they're doing data science models. Data going into each one of this is making their life very difficult. What you're looking at is how does data quality impact these folks, right? Understand how it impacts them. Don't go in a framework, don't go in. First thing is, you got to tell them, I'm not that data governance person. Yeah. I'm happy to connect with that because that's a passion, and for years, despite me talking about years, people still vacillate towards that. But you want to do the adoption, just ping me, happy to discuss. Honestly, I learn more from disagreements than agreements.